Today on Homebrew Train, we are going to build the Arcanum, or Arcanium, or magic thing. We're going to build this. Hey, my name is Aaron, and welcome to Homebrew Terrain. The Arcanum. Okay, so today we're going to need some supplies. You're going to need your X-Acto knife. You're going to need a pair of scissors. You're going to need your protractor, because actually this isn't the protractor. This is the protractor. This is a compass, which doesn't really make sense because it's not pointing north. Anyway, so you're going to need a compass and a protractor today. You're going to need a base for your Arcanum. And you're going to need a large chunk of cardboard. For the rest of it, you know, we can use toilet paper rolls and we can use smaller pieces. It's not a big deal. But the actual consecutive rings are going to be done like this. And I show you this because this has got an 8-inch diameter. Is that right? Yeah, diameter. Anyway, across the circle has got 8 inches. Okay, so yeah, that means that it's a big circle. It's a big pie plate here. And we're going to use the compass to cut rings out of this, and we're going to cut them concentrically all the way down. So we're going to use this entire piece just in a really weird way. So, that being said, on with the building. Because this is a very unruly piece of cardboard, I'm going to cut the strips off on either side. I'm going to end up using those in the build, but I just want to get that circular piece out of there for now. So, we're going to start by doing that. This is our circle. It is a big pie plate. It is 8 inches across. Okay? So, the diameter is 8 inches. So there you go, 8 inches in the circle. I don't know if you can see it or not because pencil. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this bad boy, and this bad boy right here. Oh, I like this thing because it gives me measurements on angles, but whatever. We're going to come to here and we're going to go a ½ an inch out. So if I come to this center mark, so my center mark's right here, I'm going to come to there and I'm going to mark it at a ½ an inch. This is going to give me my ½ inch mark that I need to make my first ring. Now again, I want the ring to be wider so that I can add little cool runes to it, because if you're making an Arcanum, you definitely want to be able to use it for prognostications and things like that, so the wizards that look at it are going to have all these little cool marks and dialios and helios and squelios. So going back to my center mark, because I took the little pointy bit. That little pointy bit right there, and I punched it into the cardboard so I know exactly where the center bit is. And I'm doing it a couple of times because I kind of want the marks to get a little darker, because pencil on cardboard isn't exactly the easiest thing to see. Now I'm going to use this thing to cut it out. So now you get to watch me cut this out, which is super fun for you all. Yay! Here we go with me cutting stuff. And you'll notice that I'm cutting the inside ring first, because I am. That was very astute of you to notice that, by the way. How kind of you to ring it up. The reason I'm cutting it on the inside is because I'm going to cut up the middle disc. I'm going to save it, of course, because that's going to be the next 2 rings. And then I'm going to use the scissors to cut out the outside ring, because it'll be a lot easier and faster and smarter and better looking. Kind of like, you know, the guy that she dumped me for. Oh, ouch. Anyway. She didn't dump me. Now, one of the things you really want to try to be really, really careful with here is that, remember, the cardboard is corrugated, so it has basically stripes going this way, and it's going to want to bend. You do not want it to bend. So see these little crinkly, I don't know if you can see them or not, the little crinkly lines that are going up? Yeah, you don't want that. You don't want that at all. So you got to be really careful when you get to that part of the cardboard where you're pushing down on it and you're getting to those, you know, because then it's going to want to easily fold over, and you don't want that. Nobody wants that. Carefully. 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 Okay, there we go. I think we're close here. Oh wait, no, we're not. Dang it. always that one last little bit that doesn't want to cut. Curse you! Curse you! Okay, cool. Ta-da! So this is going to be our next few rings, so we're going to set this aside for a moment because that's not what we're going after right now. We're going after this ring right here. So now I'm going to take the scissors, and I'm going to cut with the corrugation at first because this is going to be a very delicate thing. Cut it along at an angle here. So we're just going to cut it in little sections away from it, kind of like when you're chunking up a pumpkin. So we're going to do a little pumpkin chunking here. I mean, after all, September is on its way, and Halloween's coming pretty soon here for me, so I don't know, by the time I get this video up, it'll probably be sometime after Halloween, the way things have been going. One of the things that I would like to try to do, though, if I can hold on to it here, is I want to try to keep these cardboard wedges here as much as I can, because I'm going to be doing a lot of detail work to this particular dealio, so I don't want to ruin any more of this cardboard than I absolutely have to, just because I'm a man of economy. No, actually, because that's what this channel is all about. This channel is really all about the economy of how cool can I make something with the stuff that I have lying around. I mean, yes, I can go out to the store. I have the skills to make movie quality terrain. I can go out to Lowe's and Home Depot and, you know, I can buy the resins and the casts and I can get the sculpting clays and all that stuff and I can sit down and really make something amazing. It's not super hard to do, but in fact it's pretty easy once you have all the right tools and the right equipment and you know what to work with and how to work with the material. Building amazing terrain is pretty simple. But that's actually not what this channel is about, because a lot of the people who are making, you know, tabletop war games, you guys, you have a limited budget, right? Let's face it. Let's call it what it is. Either you're a kid and you don't have a whole lot of pocket change, or you're, you know, you're a dad or a mom and you got things to do, kids, bills, house, car payments, whatever. But the fact of the matter is, you don't have a lot of superfluous cash, but you still want to have a pretty decent looking table. And that's what this channel is all about. It is all about the economy of tabletop wargaming in the best way possible. Taking the stuff that you already have lying around. Because who doesn't have Amazon boxes or cardboard boxes or cereal boxes or just anything lying around that you could just do this out of, right? So here we have the first ring. How cool is that? It's a ring, yay! Okay, so this is the first spinny ring full of cool runes that are going to line up with the next ring. Now, this fits perfectly on the inside of this, and we don't want it to! So we're going to have to trim just a little bit of this off. So what we're going to do is we're going to take that same circle that we had, that little punch mark that we made before, and we're going to come over here with the pencil, because why not? And we're going to get just a little bit, like, I don't even know, like a ½ centimeter off the original disc here. And very gently, I'm going to go through and make a line on the outside of this. And I'm going to trim that off. I want to keep it as circular as I possibly can, though, and I think I'm falling down here. There we go, right through here. You hit a bump in the cardboard and it can mess you all up. Then you have to curse loudly. And this is supposed to be a kid-friendly channel, so we don't do much of that cursing going on over here. So yeah, that's why I try to very much stick with the dollar store stuff, and I stick with, you know, hot glue, and I stick with the stuff that you can afford and the stuff that you have lying around. Like, anybody can use this stuff. Okay, so I've got a little tiny area on the outside there that I've drawn out, and I'm going to go ahead and just take the scissors here and cut it out again, trying to be as good as I can here. Alrighty. And feel free to save any and all of this cardboard trimmings to make more blasted out building terrain if you haven't seen that video yet. That one should be up on the channel. I don't know. I'm from where I'm at right now, I've just uploaded the first of the wreck building terrain. So I haven't even edited the software, I haven't even edited the footage for the where I clean off my desk and turn that into a building. But I know that it's coming because I've done it. you know, that sort of thing. Alright, so now that I know that this ring is actually smaller than this ring. Oh, look how nicely that fits inside of there. Ooh, that's beautiful. Okay, so now what we're going to do is the same thing that we did on the other ring. We're going to take this guy right here, and again, I'm going to try to keep it at about a ½ inch, and of course I have the little measuring diggy thingy hingy here, but you can really just eyeball it. It's not really that big of a thing. So you want to make sure that you make it big enough that you can just like paint cool stuff on there, or draw stuff on there, or you know, whatever you want to do on there. Or you can just leave it. You know, some people just leave it. Kind of defeats the purpose, making it look cool, whatever. No, seriously, if you want to make this quick and fast and dirty, you can just do that. You don't have to spend a lot of time decorating it and making it look cool. You can skip the gargoyles and all that. So we're just going to repeat this process that I just showed you right here. We're going to repeat that with this ring here and the next ring and maybe one more ring after that. But really you just want 3, you know, because that looks cool. More than that is okay, but ultimately you just want 3. So here we go. Just going to be cutting this out because that's what I do. Yep. Just cutting away here. So I don't know, like if you're organizing like a tournament or something, this kind of terrain is really cool for that because it looks cool enough, it's functional, no one's going to really be looking at the terrain much anyway. You know, you just throw a few pieces on the table and that's all anybody really cares about. This is the perfect kind of terrain for that because it costs you next to nothing and you can build it pretty quickly. I mean, if you're not sitting here talking about it with a camera and trying to show off every little piece and measurement, you can bust this stuff out pretty fast. So that's another thing to think about. Like if you ever want to do a tournament with multiple tables full of terrain and you think to yourself, well, I've got one really cool table, but you know, I don't know if I could bust out like 15 or 20 tables full of really cool terrain. I mean, just go back to that broken building thing that I did. You know what I mean? That one piece alone by itself is just a single piece of cardboard, and it takes like, I don't know, 15 minutes to make. So you could actually bust that into a tournament scene, and you can make like a bunch of those buildings really fast. And again, if you want to make some bridges, some quick cardboard bridges, just throw them across the top of those buildings. And I mean, you just want to put some rocks or something on them to weigh it down, so it gives it a certain kind of a weight to it. But you know, so here we have the ring that's going to go in the middle here, and then we're just going to offset this one. Ta-da! Like that. Oh, it's already starting to look like the Arcanum. How cool is that? And all I did was make a couple of quick cardboard rings. Okay, so the same problem that you have with the next ring is the one that you had with before. It fits perfectly into this one. Now, if you want to leave it like that so that they're pushed up against each other, you can. I mean, you could just cut this out right here, but I have found that it's cooler if you don't. Like, you can leave it in like this, or even just leave this disc in here if you really want to, and like make a really cool wheel of something or other inside there, or lots of cool, you know, Zenchian designs or something. And then, you know, just kind of stick it in there like that so that it, you know, flat piece it in there. But I don't like that. I want to have more rings because the rings are cool. I like the rings. Anyway, but I like them to be a little bit so that they don't touch each other. It just kind of has this sort of cool, sort of hovery vibe to it. So where there's just a slight little something that's not there. And then I'm going to take a toothpick and just shove it up in there through the corrugation. And so it'll hold these guys in place on a spindle. And believe it or not, they could actually spin. Which is really cool. I think that's really cool. Anyway, so that's what I'm going to keep doing here. You don't have to if you don't want to, is what I'm saying. I'm saying is, you know what? It's your terrain. You do whatever the heck you want to with it. Anyway, so yeah, tournament scenes, easy gaming, easy table builds. You know, that's really what this is all about. This is all about doing it quick and dirty. And, not have to feel guilty about it because the terrain is actually pretty freaking cool. You know what I mean? And if you want to, you can throw a little bit of time into it and make it look pretty badass. You know, if you know little quick painting techniques and stuff to add dimension to everything, which is kind of what I'm doing right now with all of the building terrains that I made. I'm making those for a Warcry table. It's just going to be really sweet and awesome, and everyone's going to love it so much that I'm going to get tons and tons of calls, people wanting me to build it for them. But I'm not going to. I'm like, dude, watch the video. You can do it yourself. It's like 15 minutes. Don't be a baby. Buy a hot glue gun. Come on, man. They're like $8 at Walmart. Hell, you can get them for like $3.50 on on Amazon, and you get the box. How cool is that? So they send you the hot glue gun, the hot glue, and the box for like $8. I mean, come on, man. You're not going to find any terrain pieces anywhere that offer that. Okay, so you can see here the 3 rings that I have so far, and I'm going to make another ring and then probably one more because I can. So let me go ahead and do that. So you gotta be careful. I cut into the ring there. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that! Okay, so you can see where I cut into the ring right here. I didn't mean to do that. So what I did was I poked a hole right here all the way through, and I just kind of made sure that I cut through backwards so that I can get that piece cut right. Because if I cut through it now, it's going to keep going the same way that I cut, because it's kind of like once you make the groove, it'll keep going through that groove. So that's what I did. That'll be a little messed up, but not that big of a deal. So this is the back side. You can see that it hasn't cut through all the way, except for where I punched the hole through right there to keep that from happening on this side. So now when we come back to here, we can just go doo-doo-doo. And remember, don't cut towards yourself, children. And there you have it. So there's the 3 rings right there, and then I'm going to do one more ring. Ta-da! And it's just going to be cool. So I'll have 4 rings, and it'll look really, really special. And remember how I'm always telling you that these sorts of things don't have to be perfect? These have to be perfect. You don't want to screw up this cut. Because if you do, then it won't sit right, it won't spin right, it won't look right, it won't function properly. So you want to keep your lines as crisp as you can, and you want to keep your cuts as pretty close to perfect as you can. I mean, if I was to get out here with my Englishly calibrated from Greenwich rulers, I would be able to find that it was perfectly. No, it's not totally perfect. Okay, but it's close enough to being as close as possible as you can get with cardboard and that kind of stuff. You want to keep it as clean as you can, which is why I was kind of frustrated that I made that little cut right there. Anyway, alright, so now I'm going to make one more ring here, and just I'm going to call that done. And then don't throw this disc away in the middle, because we'll probably end up using it. No, in fact, we'll most definitely end up using it, because that's going to be the platform that the wizard stands on when he comes out here to look into the Arcanum. Or, you know, the Space Marine Librarian could stand upon the whatever. I mean, there's easy ways to sci-fi the heck out of this. Put in hand railing too. That's another big thing. OSHA called me the other day and wanted me to make sure that I was telling you guys to put in hand railings. No, you'll notice like in the 41st millennia, they use like hand railings and stuff. Whereas in Age of Sigmar, frick the hand railings. You don't need hand railings. Hand railings are for babies. We're wizards. We do stuff by magic. We levitate ourselves. You're a giant 9-foot-tall dude shoved in a power armor. You need hand railings. Hand railings! Unless you're a Necromunda, then you don't get hand railings. No hand railings for you. So this makes actually a really good platform to stand on. So we'll deal with that in just a moment. So yes, we have so the last ring here is, and then the platform with which to stand upon. Now, let's talk about the platform here for a minute. So here's the rings, as they're going to be all off-centered from one another, and very, very cool. So as you can see, it's all entered whatever. And now what we're going to do is we're going to, well, not now, but what we're going to do with these is we're going to spray paint them with primer, and then we're going to go through and paint on some really cool runes. Or if you want to, you can use like the toilet paper roll that we did for the pillar. We can come through here and just cut little runes out of it. What I found was really cool, this is you just cut strips and then cut them into lines and then make like, you know, runes like literally all over it. And you can do that if you want to. If you want to get really crazy on the cheese whiz. I'm just gonna paint them on because lazy. And because again, this isn't something that really needs to be a big thing. So another thing you're going to do is you're going to come through here and you're going to grab some toothpicks. We're going to do this later, is we're going to glue these bad boys on, but we're going to go ahead and take the toothpick and shove it up through the corrugation like this. This is how it's going to be mounted to the, see, like that. And then you can take the next ring, like so. And you can put that through the corrugation like that. See where I'm going with this? Are you see where I'm going with this? Okay, see? And then you can take the next ring. I know you're impressed. You have my permission to be impressed. And then you have this piece right here. And if you want to do this, you can actually do it so that it actually spins on there, so you can actually turn the pieces if you really want to. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to make mine pretty solid. I'm going to glue it all down because, you know, when I have to move these things and take them places, people are gonna not like it when it all falls apart and then I have to go through and you know what I'm saying. So we're gonna set these aside for now, and we're gonna come back to them later, and we'll paint them up and make them pretty. Now for the platform, let's talk about the platform. Now the wizard's gonna have to stand on this bad boy. Now you may recall how we did the stairs. These stairs go up. Where we took a toilet paper roll and we cut out the steps around it. So that's kind of what we're gonna do here. But man, this is a wizard's platform, brah. This, you know, you don't want to have pillars and stuff holding it up. It's gonna float on its own, man. It's gonna be floaty, and this is gonna be really hard to do because platforms don't like to float, oddly, even when they're made out of cardboard. So we're going to have to create the illusion using the stairs that we did before. And the way we're going to do that is by doing exactly what we did before, but we're going to make each step individually, and then we're going to put them together in a funky way so that it looks like they're all kind of crumbly and stuff. So I will show you that, and here we go. So what we're going to do is we're going to use this little piece right here to make ourselves the little dialy part. Now we're only going to use half of it though, because we only need half of it. So since we already have the dot in the middle marking the half, if you can remember, because when we made all the little spinny things with our, anyway, so what we're going to do here is we're going to take this bad boy and just marker the half like this. And again, I like to keep this as perfect as I can, because Arcanum, you know, when you're dealing with this kind of stuff, you really want to have make it as clean as you can. So here we have it. Boom. Now this mark right here represents where all of the stairs are going to be. Now this is my dark elf sorceress, and yes, she's still on a square base because I still play Warhammer Fantasy, so that's a thing. But I also play Age of Sigmar because it's awesome. Anyway, so that being said, I'm going to use this as the base of this. So basically this is kind of like her representation of her. But I'm going to use her as like the height measurement as well. 1 inch, yeah, 1 inch by 1 inch sounds great. Now I know this isn't going to exactly be an inch because the line that we're dealing with here curves, and it's actually going to be a little bit bigger than an inch. Actually, it's probably going to be a lot bigger than an inch, but whatever, I don't care. And we need probably about 4, maybe 5 of these steps. Okay, so I'm actually editing this right now, and I just got to this point where I realized I actually made 10 steps. So when I say I'm going to make like give me 4 or 5 of these steps, I actually made 10 because I ended up making the base of the spinny parts, the discs, a lot bigger, just because it was much more sturdier and robust. So you're going to need to build 10 of those steps, and it does get a bit tedious, so what are you going to do? But that's all part of building terrain. So you might have to make, there's 1, 2, 3, and there's 4. Now this right here is pretty much going to be a waste. So, you know, this is going to be the marker line right here. It's going to be the last one we get to use. Like that. So this right here we're not going to use for anything. So, but we want to hold on to it just in case we need it for something. So, that being said, now what we do, we take our handy dandy ruler and we measure it out from the center. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4 steps. Okay? You with me? Following me? Are you following me so far here? Okay, good. And then what we're gonna do, because we can. Yeah, see, excited. We're gonna take this bad boy, and open it up to whatever size we want the steps to be. Now the thing, where did it go? Did I just knock it on the lap? There we go. So it's right here. So this is the base. So we're gonna go 2 bases out. So here's the edge of one base, and here's the edge of the next base. So now that I know that, I can take this bad boy right here. I can mark it to here, like this. You following me yet? All right, see? And then we can mark it around, like that. Now these don't have to be totally perfect. Like the ones that we did before in when I built the stairs, those ones kind of had to be perfect. They literally fit like a jigsaw puzzle, and they had to go piece to piece. These ones are going to be independent. Each step is going to be its own thing, right? And we're going to use this to make all the rest of this is going to be to make that happen. That being said, each step is going to be its own rune-based, cool, magical thing, and it's going to be kind of like jacked to the next one. You'll see when we get it done. Alright, just follow along. And so now what we're going to do is we're going to take the scissors and we're going to cut along this mark here that we just made. Now I'm cutting on that last line that we made right here, going out right here. So I'm going to cut up this little triangle shape right here. We're not going to use it, but we're going to use this right here. So the next thing I'm going to do is stripe away these guys, and these are going to be the base for each one of the steps. And then we just build little boxes. You'll see what I mean. And then we cut out that circle that we made. Remember the circle? Man, that was some good time. I love that circle. I loved it, you circle. I loved it, you so much. Not quite there yet. Oops, let's try knocking the light source around, because that's awesome. There's always that one piece that doesn't. Like, no, you can't make me. I was a beautiful piece of cardboard, and you came along and cut me up into something else, something sick and perverted. Your little weird tabletop war games that I can't stand it, never. And then you cut it, and it's like, oh, that wasn't so bad. Okay, and then from here you can just use your scissors if you want to, so it's not so difficult. Yay! Now, one of the things that you could have done, if you had wanted to, before we cut all this apart, is when these guys were all one piece right here. One piece. I said that. Sorry. When these were all one piece, you could have taken a piece of cardboard and glued it to the outside here and wrapped it around, and then you could have had one, but that's just a lot harder to work with than just doing it individually. Alright, so now what we're going to do, now, remember those scraps I told you to hold on to earlier? We're going to come back to these. These are the side where the rings were. Yay! And what we're going to do now is we're going to turn these into the side walls of the step. We know that they're all going to be 1 inch. Remember that? We talked about 1 inch? So now what we're going to do is we're going to measure 1 inch. Because inches are good. Yeah, that was my propaganda song for inches. Did you like it? That's a pretty hefty step. I'm thinking ½ inch. ½ inch is better. A ½ inch step, because that just seems better. For, you know, like, nobody wants to like try to jump up a full inch, because that's, you know, I mean, who does that? Nobody. Okay, so there is the first ½ inch strip. So what we're gonna do here is we're gonna cut it out. Yay. Now, understand, we're gonna do a lot of these, because we've got 4 steps, and there are 4 sides to each step. One of those sides, or 2 of those sides, I should say, this side's going to be really small, and it's going to be curved, and this side's going to be really long, and it's going to be equally curved. So that. The best way to deal with that is just to cut a long strip like this, you know, probably longer than you're going to need, and then come over here, and then just measure it from one side to the other, and just kind of bend it like this with your finger so that it's already bent. And then you can just kind of hot glue it right there, and then kind of hot glue it into place, and ta-da, it's done. And then just cut off the edge that you don't need. You know what I'm saying? Or if you want to get super crazy on the cheese whiz, and there's some people that do this, you can cut a really, really long strip like this, and then just glue it on, and then just kind of wrap it all the way around. See what I'm saying? See what I'm saying? So like you would start here, and then you'd glue that to there, and then you would, you know, wrap it up there, and then you do it. And some people do that. I don't, because it's just too much. It's just you're one of those kids. You're that kid, right? In school, you were that kid. You know what I'm talking about. That one kid that came up behind everybody else and was like, "You're doing it wrong." You don't want to slap that kid. Nobody likes that kid. Don't be that kid. Okay. Now the cool part is that underneath here, this lip right here, no one's going to see this, so come over here and just, you know, throw a little hot glue down inside there. It doesn't make any difference how sloppy or gloppy it is, because no one's going to see it. Alright. And then you can just grab little scraps like this, and as long as you got a ½ inch all the way down, you can just make it. And then I'm going to use her for, yeah, determining the height, so that way she could, you know, you can fit 2 of her on here pretty easily. You know what I mean? And that way you can put models on here. So if you're a Stormcast Eternal, or even if you want to go like, I don't know, just use this dude as an example. This Aberrant fits on here pretty good, and he's like a 400 million meter base. So he's got one of the biggest bases that you can have in gaming outside of like super mega stuff. Like, you know, I don't think there's too much terrain made for this dude. He is in and of himself a piece of terrain. Okay. But yeah, I mean, if you're looking at everything, even like the Arch Revenant or whatever could fit on this pretty easily, because again, you made it 1 inch down here at the base, which is a pretty decent size, and then at the back it's going to be like 1.5 inches where it kind of fans out. So yeah, that's pretty cool, right? Right. So you can almost have it so like you know, there you go. The Dark Elf Sorceress could be hanging out with the Arch Revenant, and they could be like talking about like politics or, you know, cartoons, or whatever. So yeah, that's how you do it. And then in the end, oh yeah, you know what I just realized? We're going to use a piece that looks just like this on the bottom. Ta-da! So what we're going to end up having to do is cut out a whole another piece like this. So you're going to have to cut out 4 more of these. I'm going to use one of these as a template, throw it on another piece of cardboard, and cut out 4 more. So there you go. You're going to have to do that too. My bad. Okay, so here we have it. I did each one of the steps. As you can see, it's just a little box made in the shape of a little cheese wedge. I mean triangle. Okay, so as you can see, I got this here. It was on the bottom of our air crisper. It's just a little wedge of cardboard. I'm going to throw this down here. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take these steps, and I'm going to glue them onto here. But I'm not going to glue them like, you know, that. I'm going to glue them like successively, like offset, kind of wonky like this, and then kind of less symmetrical, like, you know, like I wanted to make it look like these steps are floating in the air. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to have this piece here, which is the centerpiece. All this stuff needs to be completely flat. It's tempting to kind of kick stuff at angles, you know, and make it look really cool, but that's impossible for a dude to walk up. So what we're going to do is we're going to lay them flat, and we'll do them at like weird little angles like that, so that it creates this sort of cool floaty look. There we go. We'll glue this little dude right here on the end. Then we'll build the Arcanum out here. So this will lead up to a little platform. Now, we're going to build on this right now and make it a little more, you know, so it's not just a flat disc. We're gonna put a little more coolness to it, and the actual footprint for this will be bigger than this piece of cardboard here, because the temple part, or the rest of the rig, is going to be out here. I'm going to take this bad monster right here. So this is the first step right here, and just make sure that I'm looking at it, and I like it this way better that way. And I'm just going to throw some hot glue on it. Now, again, if you were not making this for a gaming thing, you could throw it at a funky angle and make it look like it's starting to lift off the board, but you don't want to do that, because that's just going to cause problems for models. When your little duder comes along and you plop it on there, you want it to stay on there, and vice versa as each one of these steps goes up, because, you know, there may be a point where they're trying to get to the top, but they can't make it entirely, so they have to stop at this step right here. And if this step right here is kicked at a 45-degree angle, you know, it's going to be really awkward. We're not filming like, you know, Lord of the Rings or anything here. We're just making a piece of gaming terrain is what we're doing. So normally, if you wanted a straight stair, it would be like that. But I'm going to kind of push it out like this, so that only this part of it on the corner right here is actually attached. So let's go ahead and just drop a lot of glue right here and slap this guy on right there. Yeah, so we're going to throw this one at a funky angle like this right here. Now, by throwing these at funky angles, by the way, one of the things that I've done is I've actually reduced their actual size. So now Aberrants couldn't stand easily. Like, he can do it easily here. He can do it there. Yeah, there and there, I guess. But you wouldn't be able to place him there. He'd fall off. Somebody like this little thing, though, she could get up anywhere on here because she's littles. Okay, so then, now we have the steps glued down, and they look kind of like they're floating. Floating! Anyway, sorry, I do a lot of Invader Zim references. So, yeah, they're going to look like this, and then they're pretty stable the way they are right now. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm actually going to make a cone that goes on the bottom of this and have it kind of just sticking up like this, and then I'll have a little railing on the outside of that cone, and it'll look neat. Okay, so the way you make a cone is you get a piece of cardboard, like it is. Are you with me on this? Are you with me so far? That's cool, great, all right. And then what we do is we make a circle. A circle! We're gonna circle this guy. All right, so where is my protractor? Here it is. And I'm gonna make this circle as big as I can. So the only way to do that is to measure this thing across. So it is currently 6 in some nickels. It's about 6 inches, so 3 inches would be roughly the middle. Make a little top mark there. Okay, cool. So that's the middle right there, and then we're going to run this bad boy. Unfortunately, it's only going to be 3 inches on either side, 6-inch diameter. If I can get this to work, I'll be very happy. Yay! Okay, so then what you're going to do is you're going to take that little mark in the middle that we made right just now, and we're going to cut it straight across here, like this. And then, I don't know how shallow or steep I want the cone to be, so we're going to go ahead and just take a little wedge out of it like this. We can always cut out more later if we need to. But you see how there's a circle, and then I cut the line here, and then there's a wedge. So we're gonna cut this section out here, and then we'll put these two together, and it'll automatically pull it up into a cone. And let me show you what I mean. Now we have the lovely disc, and we're going to go ahead and cut the wedge out of it. Again, probably should do this with an X-Acto knife, but whatever. Okay, so now what you do is you take your thumb and kind of just push it down there like that. Don't be afraid to monkey this up because it's alright, you're going to mess it up a little bit. And you're going to force these two edges together. Boom. And when you do that, it gives it kind of a dome shape. But what we're trying to do here is we're trying to get it to this. So what we're going to do here is we need to bring it around. So we're gonna bring it around town. We're gonna go ahead and crush up that corrugation because that's what's really causing a problem for me here. It's really just causing issues for me. So now it's all kind of crumpled up. I'm taking these and I'm pushing it together like this. I'm gonna spin it as tight as I can to like right here. And that's actually a little too tight, so I'm going to loosen it up, and it'll be right about there. So there, now we've made a lovely cone. You see how that is? I cut out the little pieces in the middle, and I folded it up, and I glued it just right there, and there was no problems. I didn't run into any issues at all, and everything was wonderful, thanks to the magic of editing. Okay, so now we're going to do is we're going to take this platform that was supposed to go on there the whole friggin' time. And then we're just going to hot glue this bad boy right into place onto the top right here. Yay for that. There we have it. Now I have the platform like this with a little bit of a cone. Hopefully I didn't make it too deep, because I didn't even think about that. At this point I had actually made it too deep. It's why I had to end up adding an extra 5 steps, so there was 10 in total, just to get it up off the platform high enough. Also because when I cut out the I guess it's called the platform ring for the Arcanum itself, that was also much higher up when I did the U, that's the little U base that I create for it. And originally I was just going to stick it on some toilet paper rolls and call it good, but you know me, I can never just, it's like go big or go home mentality. So yeah. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to decorate this up a little bit so that it's not just some flat thing. One of the cool things about an Arcanum that can be really neat is that if you have a really cool, shiny, clean, pristine, functioning Arcanum sitting in the middle of an old, crusty, rusty, broken down, burnt out battlefield, I mean, you would think, damn, you know, that thing's got some power if it's still functioning and clean and prettyful, and yeah, everything else is in a state of crap and ruin. Okay. So what I wanted to do was throw a ring on the outside of it like this. Yes. So there you have it. So there, like that. See? So then I've got the little cone and then the little disc on the outside of it. So it's just kind of a ring that's slightly raised. I'm going to put an edge on the outside of this, like a little railings or whatever. And then, yeah. So there we go, like these. So there's the platform so far. Not bad, huh? You like it, I know you do. So let's go ahead and make this 1.5 inches, and then I'll put part of it above and part of it below. Kind of like what I did on the tower for Necromunda. I'm going to measure 1.5 inches down. And then instead of using this little guy, which is, you know, pretty cool when you're doing little stuff, it's time to bust out the big boy. Honestly, don't know how long this thing needs to be, so I'm just going to run it all the way across. It's better to have less than more. Wait. I meant more than less. Yeah, that's it. That's my scrap pile. Alright. And so now I've got this lovely strip. And I'm going to take this and I will roll. Yes, that's quite lovely. Now I'm going to trim off the ends because I need them to be a little more sharp, and this is kind of all crushy and weird. So we'll just take the ends here. So now what we do is we take this thing like this, and we find our sorceress supreme. She's pointing at it. She's like, Lawrence, no! Okay, sorry. And we look at how much, you know, you don't want to have us like up here. I mean, she's here to prognosticate and read the signs and the portentances. So we're gonna cut this pretty low and leave most of it dangling on the bottom there. I like that idea. That's a fun idea. So the first thing I'm going to do here before I get too crazy on it, I'm going to wrap the whole thing up and see how much extra I have. There's the end right there. Okay, so I'm going to fold this piece back to there. I'm going to find out why it doesn't like me. There we go. Always right in the middle of a piece of corrugation, so it doesn't want to fold right. It'll fold right now, won't it? Okay. Alright, so now that I've got this lovely crease, I'm just going to whack it off. That didn't sound right. That didn't come out right. I'm going to remove it with the scissors. Yes, that's a much better way of saying it. Children friendly, remember. So yeah, I'm going to curl this bad boy up one more time here to give me more of a lovely little curl on it. So I'm not fighting with a lot of the stupid corrugation that should just fold, but it doesn't want to because reasons. One of the fun things to do, if you ever really want to get something nice and round and working for you nicely with the corrugated cardboard when it doesn't want to, is you can roll it up like this and then just tap it with a hammer and just kind of crush it down, and it fixes a lot of the problems. Alright, good. So now we've got a lovely spiral. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to make a 1/2 inch line all the way down here, and then I'm going to hit that line with the hot glue. That way I know. And it will all be lined up. Again, this is an Arcanum. You kind of want this to look nice. These sorts of things are all covered in magical powers and entities, stations, blah, blah, blah. It's all magical. So you don't want it to, it won't rust and go bad like everything else would in a battlefield situation where everything's all crummy and crumbly. And this could be kind of cool too. The Arcanum itself could be like the thing that everyone's trying to get a hold of so they can prognosticate the whatever. And that's kind of, that could be like a mission in and of itself. So, I don't know. Whatever. It's your Arcanum. You can do whatever you want. You want to eyeball it? Eyeball it. No one's telling you what to do. Certainly not me. Okay. So now I've got that line right there. I'm just going to run the glue along there. But I'm going to do it in small sections. I'm not going to do it like all at once. And I'm probably going to end up needing another glue stick as I do this. Unfortunately, or probably fortunately for you guys, the part where I'm gluing the railing onto the platform was lost, and I can't find it anywhere. So I'm just going to jump right to the point where I realize that it's too long for the stairs, and I have to build more stairs. Ew. Okay. So as I was adding the piece here, the platform that we're going to use, I noticed that it wasn't high enough off the ground, so this was kind of like poking onto the ground, and I didn't like that. At this point, I didn't realize that I was going to have to build 5 more steps, and that it was going to have to be much higher up off the ground. But I wanted to show you this part of the footage anyway, just because if you wanted to, you could actually take the stairs and the platform and make it its own terrain piece. You can even put a gate up the top there and make it like some sort of cool warp gate or something. But making a floating platform is actually pretty cool, and you can just do that too. And so this is really kind of multiple terrain pieces put together into one giant terrain piece. So I just wanted to show you that because I thought that was pretty cool. Now I end up having to rip it off of that stair that I glued it onto, and I end up gluing it onto the Arcanum itself and then building some steps up to it. So that's kind of how I did it on the back end, which I don't know if I actually have the footage for all of that. So yeah, that's how it was done. And so there it is, a floating platform. Ooh, it's all floating. Neato. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to build the part that comes in and encompasses this, and we'll connect to this. Okay, so for this next little piece of joy and happiness that we're going to create, you're going to need a really decent sized piece of cardboard. Now the problem that you've got here is that this is a box, and it was like this, and this is the rest of the part of it. So as I peel the box apart, normally I cut it on the folds, right? But I'm not going to do that this time. I'm going to leave the panel the way it is so I can make this really big ring that I'm going to need from the thing to be like kind of a platform. Anyway, you'll see what I'm talking about here in a minute. But the problem that you're going to have is that as you make this, it's going to fold. You don't want that. You want it to be steady. So what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to find a strip of cardboard, and you're going to glue it onto that fold like this, and it's going to make this a solid, steady piece of cardboard. But we're not going to do that until after we cut out the ring. So just keep that in mind, that what you need now is a large piece of cardboard like these. Okay? Okay, so the next thing we're going to do here is we're going to measure the outer diameter of this largest circle. I've already taken the liberty of measuring this, and it is 8 inches. This is an 8-inch diameter. So the interesting thing about that is that this monster is going to be a pretty big footprint on the battlefield. So that means that it's going to have all the steps and everything, as well as this 8-inch outer ring. So what we're going to do here is we're going to start in the middle, knowing that 4 inches is the center point. And again, I got a large piece of cardboard here. So I'm going to take this to the best of my ability here, and I'm going to go there. If I was really stickly about this, I'd measure the whole thing, figure out where the halfway point was, make sure that that was where the 4 is, and draw it. But I don't care that much. As long as I've got a few inches on either side, I'm good. So there's my 8-inch line right there. So this is going to be the section that gets cut away. And this is my 4-inch mark right here. Then I'm going to mark it like right this. Very large piece of cardboard. And then make sure that the 4 marker right there, and make my 8-inch line like this. And this is the center right here. So there you have it. I have this lovely thing. They're going to make a circle here, and we're going to cut that out and get rid of it, or use it for something else actually. But this, then we're going to use the ring on the outside. That's going to be the ring where you put the Arcanum on the inside, and then it's going to have the posters around it. Now what we're going to do is we're going to measure out the 4 inches on the compass, like this, and we're going to very carefully draw the circle. Okay, ran out of some footage there of space on my phone. So whilst I was downloading videos to my computer to get it off my phone, I was able to make this lovely ring. I don't know if you can see it or not. It's about the size of a light ring or a really, really big pot. But it's about, I made it 3 inches, or at least 1.5 inches wide, all the way around like this. And I'm going to cut out the center here, and then I'm going to cut out the ring here, and then I'm going to reinforce the spots where it folds. Remember, children, never cut towards yourself. This needs to be as close to a perfect cut as you can get it, because you're going to be setting this monster on the inside of this. And if you don't make the ring right, then it won't sit right.
Oops, you had too much butter, sugar, baking soda, flour, egg, uranium-235.
That's why we keep that on the top shelf, okay? We want to let the kids play with the uranium-235. Hey, just so everyone knows that the uranium-235 is not weaponized, okay? It's not weaponized.
Don't you hate it when you make radioactive cookies?
You know, sometimes that's just an eventuality. And we gotta be careful. This is a kid-friendly zone right now, so.
Oh, you said beep.
Yeah, so we can't say the beep words. No beep wording. I honestly don't know how many people are actually watching any of this stuff.
Hey, dude, don't think about it. That's my advice for the day. That's my advice for the video. Don't think about the analytics.
The Sasha-verse teaches us.
Yeah.
Do not think about analytics. Just
Have fun.
Just make the thing and then upload the video. You do you, and the world will ignore you. So as you can see, I'm cutting this out in little sections as we go here. I'm not trying to do this whole thing at once because the X-Acto blade isn't exactly friendly when it comes to this sort of thing. And there you have it. There's the ring that we're going to use. And what's going to happen here is we're going to reinforce these flaps, because this is where the box was, see? And so we're going to reinforce these flaps here so that they don't fold anymore. And we're going to make sure that we have all of the labels taken off of them, so it doesn't look like we're shipping it somewhere. I thought I got all these, but apparently I didn't. So, put that on there. Rings here like this. And then the Arcanum, or the little spindly bits, will sit down in here. Boom, like that. Ooh, pretty full. And then your little duders will be able to walk around the outside of this ring, which will be connected to the floaty platform. Floating! See? That's the cool part. Okay, so I have taken the liberty of cutting out 4 just these strips that I made. So I made these 2 inches by 3 inches. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to glue these guys on here as like I can here, and then I'm going to trim off the bits that overlap. So I'm just going to trace this onto here like this. So we're going to trim it like this and like that. And that's where the glue is going to go. So then we're going to come over with my handy dandy glue stick. Okay, and then we're going to go ahead and boom. And this will keep it from bending. And once this all cools up, then what we'll do is we'll come back with the X-Acto knife here, and we will trim off the bits that are sticking out. All right, so we're gonna back and do the same thing here. And another thing you can do if you really want to get crazy on this Cheese Whiz, you could have grabbed another box entirely, or another piece like this, and then traced this on the outside of it, and then glued it together so that there was a double ring, which I probably should have done, but again, lazy. And there's the, then you have like the folds, and then just make sure that the folds are opposite of each other, and then it would do the exact same thing as what I'm doing here. But this is just, I don't know, I'm just lazy, and I didn't want to find another big box. So, and besides, I feel like, you know what, I've already invested like 4 or 5 boxes into this one piece already. It's already doing enough. It's already enough. It's enough. It's enough. It's enough. And there we go. All the bendies are now completely covered by these little patches. Yay for patches. And once this is completely cooled, I will take the, flip it over like this, see how the parts that stick out here, I'll just take the X-Acto knife and trim those off, and it'll be a perfect ring, and there won't be any more. And there you have it. I went ahead and took the X-Acto knife and trimmed off the bottom pieces there, so their little posters there are good to go. So what we're going to do now is we're going to add a base to it. Now, this bad monster right here has to sit at least 8 inches off the ground, or at least halfway to 8, so at least 4 inches off the ground. There we go. Because if it's going to hold this like this, right, and we know for a fact that this is 8 inches, then halfway is 4, and that's where we want this to rest inside of here, right, so that it can do its thing inside of here. Yay, you see how it's doing its thing? Now we're going to make the base of this bad boy, and what we're going to end up doing basically is having 2 cross circles going here and here like this. Does that make any sense? Kind of like that and that? Yes, you're going to love it when you see it. Alright, so what we're going to do here is we're going to take this exact same thing that we just made, and we're pretty much going to do the exact same thing. Only we're going to cut it up in a very unique way. But since we already have one, we don't need to get the protractor, and we don't need to spend a whole lot of time measuring and doing stuff. We can just take this large piece of cardboard here and lay it as flat as we can on this little space that we have to work with, and we just trace it. Okay, so now we can just set this aside because we're making a new one. That's right, people, we're making a new one. Alright. Anyway, so toilet paper rolls are the cheap and dirty way of doing this. They're exactly 4 inches tall, and all you have to do is glue them on here like that, and then you can just glue them around in a circle, as many as you want or as few as you want. Or you can get creative with how you do it. You can just, you know, cut them through here and like make them really tight and make them small and make a whole bunch of them. Or, you know, you could do it so like you have one toilet paper roll and like something magically holding it all up so it kind of looks like it's floating. Anyway, so yeah, I don't know. I'm not going to do that though, because that's kind of the cheap and dirty way of doing it. It would be very quick and it would be over very fast and the video would be done. And nobody wants that. Everybody wants to see this. Hi, there we go, back to recording. I went ahead and cut out the circle. There, it's ready to go. We know that it is 12 inches across because I measured it. So there it is, 12 inches. That means that 6 inches is the center mark. Yay for 6 inches. So, yeah. Which means that this is going to be 12 inches across this way as well. Not that this particular one matters all that much, because what we're going to do here is we're going to... How do we want to do this? Yeah, that one's gonna be better. Alright, so what we're going to do here, dang it, is we're going to cut it like this. There we have it. And then we have one here, and then we have one here. Ta-da! Like so. Isn't that exciting? Aren't you excited? I'm excited. Okay, then what we're going to do is we're going to cut this up like that. And then we're going to cut this down like that. This is one of those wedge cut things that never, ever, ever works, but you do it anyway because you think it's engineeringly cool. And you just put them together like that. Ta-da! And then you spin it. Ta-da! Just like magic. Okay, so there you go. And it's going to look like that. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take that and we're going to hot glue it here, 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 and here, and there, and there, and there, and there, and there, and there, and some over there, and then probably a little bit over there. So take the hot glue, just like this. Do this on camera. I'm going to hot glue it right here. Now be careful when you're hot gluing this because there are little places that it will leak through onto your fingers. I know because I've done this more than once. Okay. Like that. I'm just going to let those two cool for a second here so that I can not burn myself while I do the other two. Still a little gooey. It's still just a little gooey. Alright, and still a little hot. That's how I know, because I just stuck my finger in it and I got burned. Yes. How awesome is that? Not so much. Okay. Alright. Now I'm just going to hot glue the other sides. Yeah. Now, this bad boy is hot glued. It's kind of warbly and warbly, but I think a lot of these warblies that you have right here are going to go away when you anchor them to this. Boom. Ta-da. Now, if you did your measurement jobs right, it should line up underneath here perfectly. But if you're like me, it's always going to be off a little bit. But that's okay, because you can always trim stuff up later. So there you have it. I'm hot gluing the base together now. You can see that I've got it there, and I've got it on the other ones. And I just basically lined it up as best I could. And this isn't perfect. It's, you know, what it is. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take these toothpicks right here. And it's really easy to do. We're going to put this thing kind of wherever we want it to be. I'm going to offset it from the base a little bit here. And then we're going to come in here with our nimble fingers. And we're just going to stab it through the corrugation of the piece. And then we're going to stab it into the corrugation of the other piece. Right? Right? Because that's cool. Like that. There. Do you see? Like, so like that, right? So I just stabbed it into the corrugated bits there, and then I'll just pull this guy off of that. Like that. Sink it in there. Ta-da! There. Yeah. And then we'll do the same thing on this side over here. Perfect. Lovely. See? Ta-da! See how perfect that is? Yay! Okay. And then we're gonna have this up in the air. I don't want mine to be mobile at all, so when I move it around and put it on things, this stuff doesn't spin around and get all jacked up and cause problems. So, what I'm gonna do here is the same thing I do with everything. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna throw a little hot glue on this. This will slow down that process of spinach. Because nobody likes spinach except Popeye. Oh, sorry. And yeah, that's a thing. Well, that's interesting. And it ended up coming through there. I don't like that, but whatever. It is what it is. Alright, and there it is. There is the Arcanum part of the model. As you can see, this is fairly large. Again, it's going to have a 12-inch base. This is 1 foot across. So it's a little foot ruler or whatever. This is literally one. So if I take like the Arch Revenant here, it can easily fit on one small part of that. And you know how big that model is, so you can kind of get an idea of how big this thing is. So that's the long and short of that. That gives you an idea of the footprint that this thing is going to have on your table. Now, you will then take this piece here that we made earlier, you may recall, and connect it. If you look carefully, you can actually see the exact moment when I realized I was going to be there for a few more hours making a whole lot more steps, because those two pieces weren't going to line up. Oh yeah, it was a great moment in my history. I'll remember it fondly. To here. What I'm going to do with this particular case, I'm going to actually leave these as 2 separate pieces for now. I'm going to end up building a few more of these steps. And then once this front piece here is glued into this piece here, in fact what I'm going to do is I'm literally going to cut away a small section of this and then fit this directly into it. So I'll take this and I'll trace that right there and then glue that directly into it. And then I'll build steps up to it. I think that's how I'm going to do it. And then I will be able to merge these 2 pieces right here so that you would then walk up the magic floaty steps to the Arcanum. Okay, so you see here how I have taken the platform here that we had on the stairs. I cut it away from the stairs and I glued it onto here. So this is what I was hoping to have, this Arcanum piece right here, and so that way they would walk up. And I'm gonna cut this piece away right here a little bit, just like I did here, so so that it's easy for the model to go through, like it's, you know, one solid piece here. And then I'm going to have stairs built up all the way around to the floating stairwell. And this will be one giant tabletop piece. Now if you wanted to for fun, you know, you could actually make more of these and then put one like every few feet or a few inches, and say that this is like kind of like the nodes, and that they have to, you have to have so many characters or whatever, or you have to capture more than one. I don't know. There's a lot of different things you could do on this. So this is the Arcanum, and again, all I'm going to do now is build the steps to the platform. Or you could just build the Arcanum by itself and not use the steps in the platform. You don't have to do, you know, obviously. Again, just great tabletop piece. You can just slap it in the middle here. Not very usable except for perhaps the outsider plate. But, you know, you add the steps to it and it becomes a much cooler piece, in my opinion, anyway. But again, this is such a huge footprint on the table. It will take up most of your table. But now you know what it looks like and how to make one of your own. You don't have to spend hundreds of dollars on it from somewhere else.
So at the end of the video here, you'll see that all I did was build more steps up to the platform, and I was able to put them all on a base. So now I have one big piece here that I just slapped down in the middle of the table, and it is the Arcanum, or Arcanium, or whatever you want to call it. It's the magic thingy. And so now you know how to build one, and hopefully you'll be able to make one of your very own.
Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed yourself here on Homebrew Terrain.